we have degrees of proof. Like we have types of belief, there are degrees of proof also. And this is why it is the type of proof sufficient for the intellect of that person. Meaning, what I mean by that is that every group of people would require a different type of proof. Sometimes there are those who have been scientifically trained that require some scientific proof. There are those who are philosophically trained, with whom we would converse in a philosophical manner. There are those who may speak with emotion, with poetry and literature. We may give a citation from poetry and literature to convince them. But there are some people that if they ask, for instance, what is the proof for the existence of God, and you simply respond to them by saying the creation around us, that would be sufficient. Like we read the basic primer of Imam Ibrahim al-Bajuri rahimahullah. In that basic work, when he discusses the proof for the existence al-wujud of Allah, he says wujudu hadhihi al-makhluqat, the very existence of makhluqat, creation, points to the existence of the creator. I give examples of this. It is related that someone once asked a Bedouin how he knew that a creator exists. Now this Bedouin, he didn't go to a university. The Bedouin did not go to Oxford or Cambridge. He was unfamiliar of philosophical terms. He was unfamiliar of theology. He did not go to Al-Azhar. But what happens? The Bedouin responded by saying that when he observes camel tracks and camel dung trails, he knows that there is a camel. Similarly, when he observes the mountains, valleys, deserts and oceans, he knows there is a creator. This type of reasoning may be unconvincing to many with a modern secular education, yet it was sufficient for that Bedouin. So this is why varying degrees of proof and evidence is supplied. The mutakallimun sometimes would give different types of proof. One type of proof could be convincing and sufficient to a type of person, but other sophisticated minds, or seemingly sophisticated, we would say in reality the Bedouin, he had fitrah, he had the natural disposition. But those who have a seemingly sophisticated mind, they may require sophisticated proof. But if you remember earlier, I mentioned that there are psychological reasons why so many of these people, they abandon the belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then I also give the example of the old woman in a village, that she was asked the same question while she was cooking meat broth in a large cauldron. She responded by saying that when she cooks and stirs the broth, if she stops stirring, the contents remain still, and the broth only moves when she stirs it. So when she observes the sunrise and the sunset and the various positions of the sun throughout the day, and during the seasons, the moon waxing and waning throughout the month, and the constellations changing, the moon waxing and waning meaning when the moon turns full, and when the light of the moon decreases throughout the month, and the constellations changing with regularity every 3 months in the hemisphere, she knows with certainty that someone is moving all these celestial bodies the way she moves a broth. So if they were not, nothing would be moving. When further asked whether that God could be one God and not two or multiple gods, she responded by saying that if another woman came to stir alongside her, they would dispute as to the direction of the stirring, and the cauldron would tip and spill all its contents. So by the same reasoning, if there were two or more gods, they would disrupt the perfect balance observed in nature, and the universe would be in chaos. So that was the reasoning of the Bedouin and the old woman. But of course, such what they would refer to as primitive arguments, these primitive arguments would not be accepted by the modern mind.